I'm already doing pretty good, man, and I just really want to see what you got.
You ever get prospects like that where they seem like they're doing good, they have a bit of an ego, and you're not quite sure how to find their pain point, build their urgency, and you keep losing deals because of that? At my last company for a year and a half, majority of the people I was dealing with were business owners or people with high ego, and we're gonna go over some of the questions I asked to help uncover what the problem is, build more urgency, so you don't have to keep losing out on those deals. And a role play demonstration so you can see how it works in real time. All right, so first and foremost, let's go over what's not to do that's gonna fuck you in. First thing is getting all combative and being flustered. Common mistake that I see people make when the prospect's not really giving them much about the problem or their urgency. I see closers sometimes going like, but what about this? Okay, but they do keep doing like the but thing. And the moment you do the but, they just keep going like, yeah, no. So they're going to back off. They're going to shut off and they're not going to give you much of it, right? And the call's going to go nowhere. At the end, what happens? Yeah, let me think about it. I'll get back to you because they haven't really opened up to you. They haven't built enough urgency. You want to avoid that. Trying to like push the problem with them. Okay, but isn't it hard though? Hey man, like that's a lot of hours. They keep pushing the problem onto the prospects. And when you do that, the more you push on them, the more they want to back off. Just understand that psychological concept. So what we want to do is we actually want to do the opposite. So you actually want to like lean out and pull away, which makes them want to pull in more. So conceptually you get that. So now let's go into the actual tactics and actual word tracks. The first question you can ask is a specified two truths question. So you may have heard the two truths question from some people like Jeremy Miner, which I think Michael Oliver is the original guy that came up with it. But regardless, the two truths question sounds something like this. Let's say you're selling a biz up, right? Helping people start on a 9 to 5 and they are wanting to start a business, make more money, have more time freedom, things like that. And you ask them, so what are you doing for a living now? They say, hey, I'm a construction worker. And then a question you may ask is, I mean, do you like it? Do you like what you're doing for a living, right? And then the guy says yes. And then, okay, I mean, it sounds like it's going fairly well. Is there anything you would change about it if you could? That's the more classic way of asking it, which is fantastic. I've asked it that way. A lot of times what I found is that I tended to get vague answers like, I'm not sure, what do you mean? Even the prospect was confused and I couldn't get more specific tangible problems out of that question. And I don't think necessarily it's because the question itself was sad, probably the way I was asking it. I think if my tonality was really on point, I was able to get the answers. But what I found, at least as a training wheel, but I still to this day, is making that two truths question more specific. Hey, is there anything you'll change about either the insert process or insert outcome if you could? Hey, is there anything you'll change about either the type of work you do or I guess the financial or time freedom you're getting from that if you could? Let's break down what just happened. Instead of saying, is there anything you'll change about if you could, which is very broad, they could answer anything and they're like, what do you mean? But when you make it specific, like, hey, the type of work you do, which is the process of them getting to the outcome, or the financial or time freedom you get gain from that if you could, which is the outcome. Now, this can depend on what you sell because let's say if you're selling lead gen, for example, it could be something like, is there anything you'll change about either the way you're generating the leads or I guess the quantity or the quality of the leads you're getting from it if you could? So the way you're generating the leads is the process, quality and or quantity of the leads is the outcome. I found this works well is because now the prospect has something more tangible to latch onto to answer your question more easily. And the more easier you can make for the prospect to answer the question, the better answers you'll get and the conversations will just become more easier and more predictable. There are usually only two ways of asking it. Something about the process, something about the outcome. Why? Because you ask the open-ended question but still making it easier for them to answer. That's really the key here. You're not giving them like a close-ended, but it's almost like a pseudo close open-ended question, right? So you ask them that and they'll typically give one or two types of different examples. So they'll either say yes, problem, or yes, desired outcome. If you're in real sales system, you already know the flow chart, the decision tree. They'll either say yes, I'm not making enough money right now. Yes, I'm not having enough time right now. Or yes, my job is too laborious, insert problem, right? They tell you the problem or they can give an outcome-based answer. An outcome-based answer sounds something like, I'd like to make more money. Yes, I'd like to have more time. Yes, I'd like to have more location freedom. The first one is quite easy because they already told you what the problem is. They're like, okay, cool. Then you probe into that. What do you mean you're not making enough money? Oh, how long has that been going on? And then now you find the problem, how the problem is affecting them, how that's making them feel, how long, and then boom, you got everything you need to go. You can move on to the next part. If you get an outcome-based answer like, I'd like to make more money, a lot of closers think that's enough, so they move on to the next part of the conversation. Problem is, a desired outcome is not a problem. Now, why do we need to find the problem? The problem is not really for us, it's for the prospect to realize it themselves. Because if the prospect doesn't realize that they have a problem, or they don't feel like the problem problem is actually worth it for them to actually fix it, then why should they need a solution? Because the whole point of businesses are here to provide value to customers. Now, how value is created is by solving problems. If there's no problem to be solved, or at least the prospect doesn't feel like there's no problem to be solved, why should they need a solution? Why should they pay you money, right? So same thing. If prospects are giving you tons of objections right now, that's what's going on. So which is regular fun. So if you do get an outcome-based search, you need to be able to still help them realize what the problem is and verbalize it. So how do we do that? Which brings us to step number 2. If you want to role play these difficult high ego prospects and get feedback from me or someone from my team, you can actually go to the first link in the description box below to join our free school group, Real Sales System Lite. We can't share the whole scoop of the whole sauce, the whole secret, but you can see some of the SOPs that we use to close more deals, as well as schedule a 30-minute one-on-one role play feedback call where we'll have you role play and actually give you feedback on what you did well and what you could actually improve on, so you know what to fix. I'll see you there. Step number 2, if you get an outcome-based answer, you got to know different questions you got to be able to ask to find what the problem is and help them realize what the problem is. There's different ways of going about it. Usually the go-to one I go to is, well, what have you seen in your insert situation that has you looking for insert desired outcome? It's a framework. So let's say, for example, they said, hey, I'd like to make more money. In that case, you can be like, well, what have you seen in your job now that has you wanting to make more money? Break down what happened. What have you seen in your job now? Job now is the situation, right? You're not literally saying situation. You're inserting what they told you earlier. Has you looking for wanting to make more money, which is what they literally just said. A threading conversation is just taking the answers they already gave you and segueing that into your next question. The reason why you want to do this is because a lot of times prospects shut down because they don't feel like it's a natural conversation. They feel like it's this person's trying to push their agenda onto me. So they shut down, give surface area answers, and give objections at the end. How to make the conversation more conversational is you take the answer they give you and then you use it to the next question. So instead of doing the sales guy thing, is like, gotcha. So what I'm hearing is that you want to make more money. Is that right? Like repeating back everything they said, they're going to feel like, yes, I just said that, right? Instead of that, you're just taking some of the words they give you into the next question. Yeah. So what have you seen in your job now that has you wanting to make more money? Oh, so what have you seen in the quality of leads you're getting now that has you wanting for better quality leads? So when you do this, now it's like, okay, so you took the words they gave you instead of repeating back to them being salesy, but it feels like more of a natural conversation. It's very subtle. You don't need to come up with like a completely different question. You just insert whatever the answer they give you right into the next conversation. So the what have you seen question, I actually learned this from Marco Cortese. How Marco asks that was a bit more broad. He's like, hey, what have you seen that makes you want to do this? Well, what I found is when I asked that, prospects sometimes got confused. They're like, what do you mean by that? And they probably didn't know what I was referring to. Maybe because the way I was doing it was not that effective. So what I found works more predictably for me is, and for like our members of Real Sales System, okay, so what have you seen in your insert situation that has wanting to more desired outcome? When you make it more specific like that, I found that, okay, like prospects give you better answers. Now you start to see a more consistent pattern. And by the way, the reason why this question works quite effectively is because what have you seen? Seen is a visual cue. So what do they need to do? When you ask them, what have you seen? They have to go back to whatever the thing was and then realize or remember or visualize what their problem was that made them having more outcome. Because the reason why they want the desired outcome is because there's a lack. That doesn't always have to mean that they're living paycheck to paycheck, but to their standard, to their desire, there is a lack, which is why they want more. I'm drinking this water. I'm having this water right now because I feel dehydrated. I want to feel more hydrated because I feel dehydrated. You see the difference there? So that's why this works. Now let's go into the third question you can ask. The third one is more advanced. It's basically feeding into their ego, especially if you get a more high ego type prospects, then you can actually, a lot of people get like, oh, this person has high ego. They kind of get discouraged about that. They don't like it, but you can actually use their ego to facilitate the sale. Because the thing is, you ever heard the saying, ego is the enemy? So we kind of use that ego to tip them off balance. So as an example, if they say, yeah, I'm already doing good, like my job pays well, yada, 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 then what you can say something like that is, I mean, brother, it sounds like it's a really good job. I mean, a lot of people will die to have a job like that. Why not just stay in construction? So let's break down what we did. First step we do is we feed into the ego. So we are agreeing with them. Instead of saying like, okay, but bro, isn't there something bad about your job? They're going to be like, well, I mean, yeah, it's not that bad. They're going to back off, right? But what we do is we kind of push them away. We will feed their ego. Brother, it sounds like it's a really good job. A lot of people will die to have a job like that. But you got to sell it in your expression, your facial expression, your tonality. You got to sell it. You're like, I mean, that's a really good job. So you're kind of clenching your eyebrows together. I mean, that's a really good job. And you do this hand gesture. I mean, that's a really good job. Why not just? And then you ask a why not just question. And then your sub communication, you want to look a bit confused. So that's really important. If you just be like, yeah, I mean, it seems like a pretty good job. So why not just keep staying in construction? It's not going to work that well. And they're going to be like, I mean, I could. So you got to sell it well. So, I mean, why not just do that? Why not just stay in construction? Why not just insert whatever they're doing now? So when you do that, you look confused. What does the other person want to do? You look confused. Therefore, they want to clarify. They want to explain. Well, you know, because, and they'll tell you something, either a desired outcome or problem. problem. Either case, we take the decision tree and then ask the next question to uncover the problem. So I guess like a psychological hack. We're using whatever they told them, ego, we play that towards the sale, and then that's what happens. But the most important thing is you got to be able to sell it. Really sell the expression, sell the confusion. I mean, it sounds like it's going well. And at first, it'll feel fake. I'll tell you that right now because I've been there. It will feel fake because your body is not accustomed to it. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Your body's just not accustomed to it. If you go to the gym for the first time, it's going to feel sore. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Probably not. Your body's just not accustomed to it yet, right? So same thing here. In the first beginning, it's going to feel fake. Maybe it can come off a bit fake, but it's still better than having no expression, not selling it that well. And what's going to happen is you got to go to your snapping point. What's a snapping point? A snapping point, imagine a slingshot. You need to pull back the slingshot far enough to see where the rubber band is going to snap. Otherwise, you're just not going to know. So same thing in sales, especially with tonality. You want to pull it back as far as possible. You want to over exaggerate, especially if you're not that much of an expressive person. I'm more of those people. So I'd really work on that. So you have to pull it far back enough. You have to sell the expression far enough to the point where it may feel a bit fake, and then you can tone it down a little bit more. But it's one of the things where you can't watch a video and like just like, hey, I found my sweet spot. It takes a lot of repetition, takes a lot of the right feedback. And without that, you're just kind of the guessing game point, which is why that's so important. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to hop into a demonstration right here. And a role play demonstration, we did some different examples of where we go over some of these questions. Again, I can't go over like the full scope of like the whole sales call because in here we'll go like a snippet of it so you can see how it works. Let's dive into it. So what are you doing for a living now?
I'm an accountant at a company.
Okay. Smart guy. Do you like it?
In math, yeah. I mean, it pays the bills. What can I say?
Okay. I mean, dude, sounds like it's going on good. It pays the bills. So like anything you would change about either the type of work you do or I guess the financial or time freedom you're getting from that, if you could?
I think what I want to change a bit is the time constriction. I want to have a bit more free time for my life.
Okay, so what have you seen in your hours now or the freedom you're getting from that that's making you want to have more time freedom?
On paper, it's like 40 hours, but currently I'm working like more like 60 hours a week.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. And you working those hours, I mean, what's that taking away from?
My personal life, really, I can't really hang out with friends or find a partner or anything of the sort.
Okay. And how long has that been going on?
I mean, for the past like 3 years or so.
Okay, because I've been there too, man. But I mean, what's that doing to you?
I don't know, it's just making my life a bit too repetitive. It's just monotone. It's just sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work.
Yeah, okay. And how do you feel about that?
I really want to change it. I want to make some changes so that I have more free time and enjoy my time more.
And I get the willingness for sure, because I can already tell that you're a pretty committed guy, but like, how's it actually making you feel though? You just keep doing the same thing without being able to have the life that you want.
I mean, for now, it's not that bad, but I feel like the burnout is like building up a bit, and I want to like deal with it before it gets to that point.
What do you mean burnout's building up a little bit?
I mean, constantly working, not being able to really sit in any way with friends or whatever. I feel like it's been building up like mentally, so I'm at that point where I might be too tired to even work.
Okay, so what happens if you do get to that point?
I didn't even imagine it yet. Nothing good, that's for sure.
Nothing good? Like what?
Like, I might not go to work. I might want to quit. I might like have really bad performance and get fired.
Yeah, could be some trouble. Do you want to change that?
I mean, what I like is just to get some more free time for myself.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to change that though?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why I'm here in the call. I want to change it.
For sure. So these are some ways to actually open up those high ego prospects. If you go here, you can actually see another video where we go over how to open up vague prospects and actually get the answers and the problems you need as well. So you can go right here.